What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Titus, and in today's video, we're going to ask the burning question on everybody's mind. What the is Elden Ring Nightreign? Now, for those of you who need no introduction, this game obviously is the newest From Software title that is kind of like Elden Ring mashup with a roguelite of sorts. So, there has been a little bit of controversy. I don't want to say controversy because that's not maybe the right thing to say, right? People, I think, are a little disappointed in the game. Didn't quite hit the mark for some people, and we'll talk about that as we get into it. But for this one, I really just kind of want to get right into it. So let's go ahead and commence our first expedition, and we will get right into this. So Nightreign is kind of a roguelite Elden Ring game, heavily predicated on you and a group of 2 other people, so 3 in total, going in and essentially doing the typical Souls-like stuff, except you're on a bit of a timer, right? So you jump into the game, you get flown in by this beautiful giant magical eagle, and you immediately have to run around this open world, killing bosses, leveling up, and, you know, collecting gear and loot. A lot of it is your standard Souls-like kind of gameplay loop, with the real difference being, of course, that you are on a timer, and once you're done with that timer, you fight a final boss, and then you get some meta progression and you do it all over again. You do it day after day after day. So we're going to jump right in and showcase a little bit of the mechanics, some of the gameplay, and then I'll talk about some of the things I like and some of the things I don't like. Now, one thing I do want to just kind of get out of the way immediately is I myself have never been crazy about Souls games. It's not that the thing is, more so than most other games, it's not because they aren't fun or that they aren't, it's not that they're not fun. Oh man, trying to do commentary with this Souls-like combat is definitely going to be, that's going to be interesting. It's not that they're not fun, and it's not that they aren't. So I've always heard some people talk about how Souls games aren't actually that difficult, and, you know, you just abuse the dodge roll or whatever. And I think for me, it's not that they're not fun, but I think that the pacing of combat is usually, it wasn't exactly what I grew up with, right? I grew up with things like the original God of War 2, these very heavily inspired, or not heavily inspired, but these heavily predicated on spectacle kind of arena fighters, right? Dark Souls is not that at all. So as a side note, as you see, pretty much leveling in this game is super linear. So if you're looking for Dark Souls level of complexity, you're not really going to get that there. Every single class is predetermined, and when you level up every single, or throughout your expedition, it's just a linear level up where you need to use, I suppose they're not souls in this game, but you use them to level up in a predetermined fashion. And realistically, the way you want to build your character in terms of diversifying your build comes through the kind of weapons you'll use and the kind of, I guess, secondary affix effects that you choose to pick up for your character, right? Going back to what I was saying earlier, though, I grew up with very heavy spectacle fighter style games, Ninja Gaiden, which was in and of itself a hard game. Devil May Cry could be kind of difficult. But realistically, I never played a lot of these kind of action RPGs that were based around slow, methodical combat, right? And that's a big thing for Souls games, is that the combat it's slow, it's thought out. There are things that you need to consider when you're playing them, right? For instance, Dark Souls, much to my chagrin, but I understand why they don't do it, doesn't have any animation canceling. So if you're like me and you just start mashing buttons trying to get a 70 hit combo and you get caught like I just did right there, not being able to dodge roll because I'm too busy lining up my attacks, then what you find is this game will very quickly and quite brutally punish you for all of your mistakes. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's merely more of just what is your preferred style of action, right? So moving on from there, this is what I was talking about, affixes. Now I can choose a new weapon, which will give me, so as you see here with this weapon, even though it is minimum level 7, I'll get continuous HP recovery. This one will just flat out add to the HP restoration from my flasks, and then this bow will give me another attack. I'm going to go ahead and grab this real quick, and we'll go ahead and throw it in our offhand. We can't use it yet, but it is still nice to have for when we do eventually hit level 3. Other than that, the way your character class plays out is pretty straightforward, actually. You have a light attack with your right bumper, for me at least, because I do prefer to play these games with a controller. If you play with a mouse and keyboard, I mean, more power to you, man. But I don't know. It feels more comfortable with a gamepad for me. So that's what I'm going to use. R1 gives you a light attack. R2 gives you a heavy attack. And then, of course, you have a couple of abilities. So as you saw earlier in that clip when we were fighting the big guy, I pulled out this massive bow and shot him with it. And this is, of course, your first character skill, and then your second character skill, at least for the ranger, who I've been using, because I feel as though he's kind of noob friendly. His damage is not super high. He's actually the lowest of all the adventurers, but it's because you don't have to worry about getting into melee. And of course, not having to worry about getting into melee definitely has its benefits, right? But his other ability, he does this this dashing charge thing where he will line up a enemy or anybody he dashes through, and he applies a little mark that will increase the damage that the enemy takes. Of course, as you can see here, I don't do nearly as much damage as my companions, but I also am not in harm's way to the same extent that they are. So you take the good with the bad. Now, I think for this one, we might actually just keep that other one. You can, of course, change out. You can obviously change out your primary and secondary, which will change the way your character plays out a bit, because if I hit L1, I actually will attack with my left hand bow rather than my right hand bow. And that bow also gives me an extra effect. So as you can see here, with the left hand bow, if I hold down L2 and then I hit R1 or L1 or R1 or R2, then I will do the kind of this charge shot. If you see here, it says mighty shot, and that's essentially what your offhand does. Your offhand gives you a basically like an L2 modifier for extra attacks, which is pretty nice, right? Outside of that, your character doesn't have a whole ton of complicated combos or anything like that. All right, well, that guy just. All right, wherever he was going is far more important than where we are right now, so. Ah, yes, I remember this from Elden Ring, the rot. But we'll line this up and boom. And much like in Elden Ring, we also have the different stamina bar. Well, I guess we have a stamina bar and then a magic bar. The archer doesn't really use his magic bar all that much, and so it can be kind of nice. But we'll hold down triangle, we'll pop this out, and we'll waste it. He died right as... He'll die right as we charge it up, as tends to be the case. So realistically, I mean, I'm going to be honest, this is kind of... Do we want stamina recovery or HP recovery? Well, we kind of want HP recovery because we are not very good. This is kind of the main crux of the gameplay, right? Because outside of this, essentially what you do is you spend 3 days searching around looking for upgrades, new weapons, things of that nature. In day one, you do as we do right now, where we're kind of on the outskirts, running around killing enemies. I, of course, am struggling because I'm not a very good damage dealer. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna give up before I before I get too far away from my companions. They leave me behind with all of these spooky eldritch horrors. Day 2, you kind of do more or less the same, and essentially where you're doing it is you have this ring, and it's almost kind of reminiscent of something like a Fortnite, where you have a storm that slowly kind of draws in on you. And if you get caught inside the storm, much like in Fortnite, you slowly die. You slowly die. Oh yeah, there's also some equipment. You can hold 4 equipments, and those can be pretty important when you're trying to figure out what to grab based on what you think you'll need. So things that will imbue your weapons with different energy types. This gravitational grenade looks like pretty much nothing but gravitational grenades, so we're not going to grab too many of those. But day 1, you're running around, and the storm hasn't quite started to set in yet, but it will over time, slowly. There we go, we'll level up. And then day 2, the storm has come in a little bit more, and then on day 3 is when you actually get into what I would say is the more classic Souls-like type of gameplay where you fight the final boss. And if you beat the final boss, then it'll unlock a new map or a new boss for you to have to kill. I actually don't know yet because, like I said, I'm not good at Souls games. That's why this is, I mean, I've said before and I'll say it a dozen times, and I'll probably always have to say it again and again, but these are not reviews. These are merely kind of, I think, a sort of first impression that appeals to the senses of the lowest common denominator. Because I would say that most people who really like Souls games are not, they're not your 12,000 hour chads who, you know, do the entire playthrough without taking any damage, right? I mean, good for those people. You know what I mean? The immense amount of skill that you need to put in to be able to do that is impressive, to say the least. It's just not what I can do, right? That's just not where I'm at. And I would hazard to guess that that's probably not where, okay, this is actually useful. I would imagine that's not where most people are at. All right, we got another one. Improved skill attack power and reduce skill FP costs. Let's go with the increased attack power. We'll go ahead and throw that in the main hand, but we don't really need it. We probably won't end up using it. I can't level up yet, so killing enemies is basically just how you get that random currency to level up. And the nice part is that regardless of where you and your allies are, when you kill an enemy, it all goes to you. So there's kind of a shared thing effect where if you decide to, if you and your party were, say, better at this game than I am and me and my friends, then you would probably want to spend time split up around, like searching around. Oh boy. All right, well, we get to see the effect of the storm. As you can see, it is slowly coming in on our little hookuses. And so we got to make a mad dash because you will quickly die. And unfortunately, as with most things in Souls-like games, when you die in this game, you'll lose a level. You lose all of the currency that you've built up to upgrade yourself, which means it's not a massive penalty, but it is, you will feel it for sure. And the issue is, if you lose your stuff, if an enemy were to kill you, you could just go, much like in other Souls-like fashions, you could just go kill that enemy, get your revenge, and get your stuff back. However, if you die to the storm, well, then trying to get back out there to grab your stuff is going to see you get killed again. And of course, then, you know, you, oh, okay, well, that's fun. Because we still got to keep running, and I'm going to keep running. Doesn't look like we're choosing to fight this, so we're going to keep going. Oh, there's another boss. All right, we, yeah, wow, okay, all right, yeah. So it can get pretty hectic when you're being chased by the storm, because Well, as you can see, the enemies don't need to worry about the same things you do. But if you die in the storm, you're going to lose all that stuff and you're not going to be able to get it back. So something to consider. Be very careful where you are with the storm, because that is the one thing much different than any other Souls games. You cannot get back that progress. You will lose it forever. All right, fire grease, fire grease. So yeah, as you can see here, I actually might have hit the limit of the, oh no, we are in the storm. As you see there, we take a little bit of ticking damage. I'm gonna go ahead and pop our flask. So from what I can gather with the flasks, when you are fighting the mini bosses, right? So as you can see, our day 1 is ending and we're gonna have to fight a mini boss to get to day 2. You can fail, even though you can revive during the free roam. You will, if you die during any of the mini bosses, all 3 of you get killed at the same time, then you are finito, game over, right? Archer can be a bit difficult, mostly for this. The reason is enemies really seem to hate you if you are an archer, and they will close the gap on you quite quickly. And then that whole lack of animation canceling that I was talking about before. And I imagine some people watching this would be wondering to themselves, why does this guy keep talking about animation canceling? We don't have that. Well, yeah, I know, but it would make my life a little bit easier. As you can see there, one of our allies went down. That's another thing about the multiplayer aspect, I suppose, is when your ally goes down, you just attack them and they'll come back up. Now, every time they get down, it adds an extra bar to that little wheel, which can make it quite hard to revive people later on when they've been down, 2 or 3 times. But we killed the wave. Now we've got our first mini boss, and our first mini boss. Okay, we have. Now I will say I've seen these guys quite a bit, because me and my friend group are, we try our best, but we are not exactly the best Souls players, and so. Oh, I try to time my slash. And let's get a big hit off. All right, cool. Now that my friend is giving me a little bit of space, we're gonna go ahead and try and kill the sword master who's been harassing me this entire time. All right, this guy is really on me. That's one thing I've noticed about ranged. Sometimes it actually doesn't feel safer than maybe you might think, because enemies will tunnel vision you like no tomorrow and give you almost no space to actually try to get your attacks off from your effective range, right? Which makes sense. I can't really fault the game for doing that, because you don't want to just let ranged characters sit back and shoot for free. You do want to put a bit of pressure on them. All right, let's try and get some space for our friends down there. All right. Oh boy. And we got caught in the animation of attacking, so we got hit by that. And that is pretty much why I've never been very good at Dark Souls games, because I think realistically, I don't have the patience to not want to try and get that extra attack, I'm always thinking to myself, it's fine. One more attack. I will also say that as someone who's a little more incompetent at these types of games, it is much harder for me to do commentary while actively trying to fight for my life. So, but we killed all right, cool. We killed the first mini boss, the boss of day 1, I suppose you could call it. And so now we will move on to at low HP, create holy ground, slowly restoring HP and improve defense. Successive attacks restore HP. Critical hits increase damage of. Oh, yeah, I think we're going to try this one. And so that's how we finished day 1. And then we will do this again for day 2. And realistically, the only difference between day 1, day 2, and day 3 will happen on day 3, where you fight the final boss. So I'm going to go ahead and wait until day 3 before I start commentating on things again. Oh, actually, good place to end it off. You can also find these shrines that'll give you extra flash charges. Now, if you're someone like me and you're a bit incompetent at this game, it might be useful to seek these out and try and find them wherever you can, because, well, you're going to need all the flash charges you can. Outside of that, I mean, there is a couple of other things that the game does have on offer, some things that I can show at the very end, where you can get permanent upgrades to your character, things that you kind of slot in and give you the more roguelite aspects of, you know, the meta progression, right? A lot of roguelites are usually categorized in some ways by what do they offer your account progression wise from run to run, right? Because, you know, the classic roguelike, I suppose, is just you do the run. If you die, you start over, right? Very much a classic gaming, very much classic gaming in general, right? Roguelites have kind of iterated on this, where you'll do a run and you might die and have to reset everything, but you might also be able to upgrade your account in some fashion, whether that be, you know, later on you add extra damage to your character, or you have extra health, or, you know, what have you, right? So let's go ahead and kill this guy. And Nightreign does actually have that. Now, they don't have a ton of it. No, thank you, sir. I will respectfully have to decline your offer of slashing my face open. I hope I'm going in the right direction. Okay, I am. And it appears we found nothing over here. That's fine. So it does have permanent progression that you can make, and seems to be a character to character only basis, where you basically slot in these gems or orbs or whatever, and they just offer your character other things like increased crit, you know, extra damage, maybe reducing the cost for your abilities and the like. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we didn't like any of that. So, yeah, the Ranger, you know, what I've noticed is the Ranger with certain weapon combos can absolutely get some damage in. He can actually do some respectable damage. I think the biggest issue really is that you kind of need people to screen for you, because enemies will get in your face real quick and will not give you any real breathing room. So you absolutely need allies to kind of screen for you, because if you don't, just the animation of pulling back your bow, making it so that you won't be able to dodge roll, is quite an issue. All right, I don't know. Are you stuck in here, or what's going on? I don't really know what my teammates want me to do. Unfortunately, not really able to communicate that with them all that effectively, but it seems like they're coming up to where I'm at, so. Let's just go ahead and get on up there. So there is some meta progression. That's nice. And you do tend to kind of expect that with roguelites. Now my buddy will go in and he will... Oh boy, this guy's got a metal head. Oh, he's got a metal head that just stops arrows. Oh, he's gonna come in this tunnel. He's gonna hurt me. All right, so we killed a little bit of our mini boss here. We've got another thing. There's also these smithing stones. This is how you can upgrade your weapons. So there is there's obviously a lot of in-game like in mission progression, which is nice. And then of course the outside of game progression, which is honestly much lighter than the others, but you know, it is nice to have as the mark of a roguelite. So the big question I think most people would be asking themselves is this game worth the $40? And I want to talk about the controversy that people were talking about, where if you've played Elden Ring, a lot of this seems like very much cut, pasted, sort of the kind of thing that you've already seen before, right? Improve lightning damage, negation. I mean, we can pick this up. Successful guardian. Man, I don't even know. Maybe this one, actually. A lot of it seems copy and pasted, and even myself, I've seen it a bit before. With the tree sentinel, who's, you know, like obviously the most famous of the early Dark Souls, I don't know what you call it, bosses. So, you know, I will say, I think if you are the kind of person who loves Souls games, I could see that you'd still want to find a reason to play this. I also imagine that if you are maybe someone who hasn't played a lot of Souls-like games, the biggest draw for me is that most games, I think we could all agree, tend to be more fun with friends, right? Gaming in general is always more fun with friends. So the fact that this game from the ground up is kind of built for you to play it with two of your friends, as you see, I've got Cracked Cheese and Proden with me. I think that is a huge strength. Now, to be fair, to be completely fair, because traditionally Souls-like games were not based around playing with friends, that may or may not matter to diehard fans of the genre. That may be something that only someone like me... Is the wall coming in? Oh, the wall is coming in. That may be something that only really appeals to perhaps maybe more of a casual like myself, a casual Souls-like enjoyer, someone who has never really put in any real amount of time into this game and has instead kind of picked it up, dabbled a little bit. I mean, I think I put maybe 4 or 5 hours into Elden Ring. I've put maybe 10 into Sekiro. Like I had said previously, Souls-like games were never hugely important to me. They were never my bag. So, but I will say, if you're a more casual gamer, I think the multiplayer aspect of the game not only makes it fundamentally easier in a lot of ways, except for when you run face first and get hit over a wall by a boss. That is, of course, nothing easy about that. The fact that you can play this with some friends and have a good time, I think is quite to the credit of... Oh, there's something behind me that I can't see. Man, I've actually never seen these guys before. As for things being samey, I do want to make a side note that it seems like there are some unique bosses, but then again, I never played I never played Elden Ring through its entirety. Like I said, only putting in, I think, maybe 4 or 5 hours. So for those of you who have put in 150 hours into Elden Ring, you probably will see a lot of samey enemies, right? But to be fair, the game is also being offered up for... Okay. The game is also being offered up for $40 rather than, say, $60 or the $70, soon to be $80 price tags that we are seeing in the industry. So I honestly think for $40 for a game that you can pick up with a couple of your friends, some of your gaming buddies, put in a couple of, you know, maybe you could put in a solid couple weeks of gaming through it, right? Maybe you'll get bored by the 20 or 30th hour mark. maybe this is another game that you're going to put hundreds of hours into. But for me personally, even as someone who doesn't like Souls games, I find myself wanting to play this a bunch with my friends. I've tried playing it solo. If you're bad at Souls-like games and you're like me, you're not going to play the Souls games. Basically damn near impossible to play solo. Right, so let's go ahead and try and get these guys out of here as fast as possible. Outside of that, I have noticed that if you are not running a super high-end PC, I do get some stuttering every once in a while. Oh. Yeah. I do get some frame stutter every once in a while. Oh my God. I do get some frame stuttering every once in a while. I also get some brain stutter when I'm trying to commentate and play Souls-like games, because even with the highest level of concentration, I am amateurishly somewhat competent at best. So, as you can see, my brain sometimes requires me to focus a little bit more than some others might need to. I do get some frame stuttering, and I don't know if it's because of a lack of optimization or we're just at a point where maybe I need to upgrade some of the things on my PC. I mean, I'm running a 4060, but like I said, when I bought this PC, one of the things that I did skimp out on that I probably shouldn't have was running an i5. Of course, most people are probably sneering in disgust at the idea, but unfortunately at the time, and kind of even now, I'm not quite in a financial state to be able to really upgrade my PC. But I think it also serves as a decent benchmark, because I imagine that the average gamer probably isn't running a 50 series card, or if they are, they're running maybe a 5060. They're probably running an i7, as that's usually looked at as a pretty decent baseline for gaming. Although, up until I'd say the newer releases of games, things like the new Oblivion Remastered, this game, I haven't ever really seen a problem with just using an i5. Oh boy. Oh boy, we're playing dangerous here. Oh, we're playing so dangerous here. Oh, we're playing so dangerous here. Oh, and I can't jump. Oh, and it burns. And it burns. Oh. So, at the end of the day, you know, I'm not the greatest computer, but it should be fine. And to be fair, the frame stuttering honestly only happens at predetermined times. One of them I've noticed is when I try to use my special ability on my archer ranger guy, we drop a couple frames as he's whipping out his big old crossbow. All right, playing fast and loose with our lives, but my friend did end up making it. So, at the end of the day, I will say this: Nightreign, for me, I think is a solid purchase. And I think, again, if you aren't the kind of person who has put in thousands upon thousands of hours, more so than any other game, I actually think this is the Souls game, maybe even more so than Elden Ring, that has that sort of casual player appeal to it. Oh, okay. Well, obviously the game can still be quite tough and punishing. As you see there, I, for some reason, decided to shoot rather than dodge and was immediately one shot. So, of course, when I say casual, I don't mean what you might expect casual to mean in other games. Just that this is definitely a more casual appealing Nightreign or Souls-like game. So overall, I mean, truthfully, I would suggest that you could probably buy this and not feel too bad about the purchase, right? Even if you're not a crazy big fan of Souls games, this game, I think specifically with the fact that it's much shorter form kind of content, you can jump in. All right. All right, this guy is just on top of me and I cannot really do much about it. Luckily, my allies over there are finishing that guy off. So as long as I just keep this guy busy, I should be fine. I should be fine. Jeez. So yeah, $40. I mean, pick it up. I think it's okay. Well, when you get a frame stutter at a time where you're supposed to be dodging things, I suppose that is kind of not as good, a great feel. But again, hard for me to say whether or not that's the game's fault or my own fault. So I will say maybe if you have a worse PC than mine, you're not going to pick it up, right? But you know, if you got a decent PC and you've always wanted to play Souls-like games with a couple of your friends, games that are inherently a little bit easier simply because, oh, I shouldn't have done this. Or maybe I should have, actually. Maybe I absolutely should have. If you've been looking to play Souls-like games with your friends, play this. Oh God, I'm so bad, he's hurting me. You know, I think you could do worse. And I think for $40, I would say that it's a respectable price point. Although some people may disagree. So, anyway, guys, that's been enough yapping for me trying to get this commentary done. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, all that fancy YouTube stuff, because it really helps me know what you guys are into and whether or not I'm doing a good job. We still stream every Friday and Saturday here on YouTube, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, that's been all for me. I will say I will attach at the end of this run, I will attach the final boss fight, including commentary with my friends. So if you want to watch that, stick with us. If not, then, you know, thanks for being here. Hope this video helped, and until next time, I'll see you.
Like damage around you is really good too. Wow, ow. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't dodge. I'm trash.
Ooh, oh, I'm so good at video games.
God, you piece of shit dog. Stop moving.
Ow, ow, oh god.
It'd be a lot cooler if you just stand still and let me kill you. Oh, okay. I have a question. Have either of you been getting any frame stutter?
I have not.
Sometimes I will.
This run I have.
This heals you, by the way, if you stand in this.
Oh, yeah, I got some blood damage in there.
Sure, if you stand in this, it should heal you. Oh, of course it runs out. There you go.
Oh, it's always me. Why is it always me?
Oh.
Is it coming? Yeah, it's coming.
Oh.
No, that's not what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Oh, I got a big crit on his face. Yeah.
No, I fucking parried, you son of a bitch.
Wait. Still have Brandon.
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
Let me go! No, stop eating me! Stop eating! Oh my god, it ate the shit out of me.
I got you. I got you.
We're having a kaiju battle.
Yeah, once Brandon's butt.
Oh boy.
Ow, what the hell just hit me?
He whipped around.
Oh, this is gonna be bad. Yep.
Dude, why is they always on you?
Dude, I have no idea, but yeah, okay. Well,
Oh, fuck.
that's all my potions, so.
One of them's back on me. Oh, never mind, he's angry at Brock now. What? Right through
Oh.
my...
Coming. Brandon will distract me.
No shit.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
They're reforming. We're good for now.
Yeah, it's definitely making them reform a lot faster. With the holy damage I'm doing.
And my main sword has holy damage in it too. That's holy damage and bleed, so.
Oh,
Shit!
Where's down? Stab him in his face!
Nobody was close enough. Oh shit! I hate that attack.
oh,
Ciao.
ah, no.
Oh, he's so far away.
Oh my god, dude. I'm like stuck in the middle of all of them.
We
No!
almost got it! We almost have it!
Are you kidding me? Fuck, man. Oh,
We got him!
It's alright, I'm stabbing his ass! Yes!
Get it!
oh,
We did it! Finally!
yeah. You want to know what the secret was, guys? I was recording the whole time. Yep, that's right. You just had to show out for the camera.
I don't know what the quantities of the Night Lord does.
Ooh.
I definitely did a lot more damage with that holy. Before it felt like I just tickled him to